Hello everyone and welcome back to another video with I Am Stormwalker. I am Deborah and today I'm going to be sharing another story. If you are new to this channel, I welcome you, and if you are a returning viewer, I appreciate you for riding the waves with me. This video is another one that is going to be a little bit tough to talk about, and I really thought that God hated me for doing this, but throughout the years I found out that He had forgiven me. I just hadn't forgiven myself for it. Um, It was tough back then, and it was a tough decision that I had to make. But, I was young and dumb and, just wasn't thinking about anything but myself back then. And as I now get to this place where I am starting to be free and starting to just share my testimonies and to share my stories with the world, God laid it on my heart that this one needs to be talked about as well. Um, Back in the day, I had an abortion. And I thought that God hated me, for doing that because after all, it was a sin, you know, and it was like a murder scene that I had carried, that I had performed in my belly. And I know that it has haunted me, throughout so many years because, like, even in my dreams, sometimes I would hear my baby crying, and, I would just wake up like in a cold sweat, and I would sit there just, crying, just rocking back and forth, just asking God, to forgive me, and would He ever forgive me for that? And I know that when I had to, go have all of that done, they had told me that it was a possibility that I would have a miscarriage afterwards. And they were telling the truth because I ended up getting pregnant probably about a year after that, and I ended up having a miscarriage. So not only did I have, a murder scene, inside my belly, but with the miscarriage, I felt like, that was my fault as well. So, you know, it was like hard for me because now there were two babies that I had actually murdered, and two babies that were graves in my belly. Two babies that I would never get to see grow up, or I would never, get to hear them call me mommy, and it bothered me for so many years. But I learned to just keep talking to God about it. And I even, said a prayer and asked both of my babies to, forgive me for what I had done, and that I was sincerely sorry that they didn't get a chance to, take this journey in life with me. And over the years, this is also something that, the devil had used, to torment me, with my sleepless nights and just not feeling like I was anybody because, I was ashamed of what I had done. It was all about guilt because at that time, I wasn't worried about the baby or, how it felt. Or, as a matter of fact, I didn't even care about, what God had to say about it. I just did what I felt like was right. And it was wrong. It was wrong for me to do what I did. And like I said, it haunted me for like years. And those moments when I would just hear my baby crying and I would just be so numb, and I didn't know who to talk to about it because no one knew. But they know now, but no one knew back then. Nobody but my mother. And I didn't have anybody to talk to about that. And, I remember times just, talking to God, but wasn't sure if He had forgiven me. And wasn't sure if He could ever love me again because of the things that I had done. It was bad enough that I had an abortion, but after that, I had a miscarriage. And they both were my fault. I can't blame anybody else. And I just, really felt like, what kind of person would do that? What type of person would kill a baby? Let alone one, but two. And I say two because of the miscarriage. Because if I'd have never had an abortion, then, both of them would be here, I'm thinking, you know. But like I said, I thought that God hated me. I thought that He had turned His back on me because it just seemed like whenever I would try to talk to Him, it just felt like He wasn't hearing me. Like, He didn't care what I was going through. Like, He wasn't even paying no kind of attention to me. And, I wrestled around with that for so long, thinking like, God, I know there's nothing that I could do, to take back what I did. But I'm so sorry. I mean, I just kept apologizing to Him and kept apologizing to Him until one day I just felt like it's over. Like, God doesn't love me no more. Like, He doesn't care. Like, how, can I move on? And I wasn't at peace. I wasn't at peace for a long time. For a long, long, long time. And it wasn't until one day when I had got a message from someone and they told me that God said that He forgive you. And all I could do was just, just thank Him and just praise Him for everything. And I still even asked him a question like, God, how? How can you still love someone like me? How can you still, you know, choose me after that? And I know that even though God forgives, there are still some consequences. And I felt like when I had that abortion, the consequence was having a miscarriage with my other baby. And it's just like, just to know that God had forgiven me, and He told me to now I had to forgive myself, which was a hard thing to do because here was two lives that didn't make it in this world because of me. Like, how can I forgive myself for that? And even that, it took a long time. But now, as God is leading me to share my stories and to talk about everything that I've been through, like I said, is a wonder of why God is still friends with me. It's a wonder of how can He love someone like me, and still choose me to do His work, to, pick up my cross and follow Him. And He had to remind me that nobody that was in that Bible was perfect. Nobody. You know, especially when it came to, Rahab and Peter and Paul and David, it was just like it was an eye opener for me. And to know that in order for me to move forward, that I had to forgive myself, knowing that God had already done it. And here I was, like, holding on to a past that God had already forgotten about. But I didn't know that, So I have forgiven myself, and I've even written them, letters and asking them to, forgive me. And I feel like this is like a new beginning for me. Like I said, and just sharing my story with you guys, because some of these things, it's hard to talk about. And, but I know that in order for me to be free, I have to do what God has called me to do without worrying about what other people feel or how they're gonna look at me, but I'm free. And, even with my last video, I have been so free since then. And, I've been sleeping at night, and I know, like, the more I talk about things that I've been through and share my testimony with you guys, and, just like God was saying, how He wanted me to picture my life, to look at my life like an open book. And even like secrets that I've held, He wants me to talk about them, because there's a lot of things that were holding me back, you know, and whew, I don't know. And even like now, it's like it's another weight that has been lifted up off me. And it's like I can feel like peace that is surrounding my heart. And it's like, okay, like it's almost like God is telling me, like, my babies forgive me. And it's like He's telling me again that He has forgiven me. And so I must tell myself, Deborah, well, Deborah back then, I forgive you. And life is tough, but so am I. And um, I don't want to hold you guys up any longer. I, just wanted to get on here and, just talk about having an abortion. And if there's anybody out there who has had an abortion, just know that God has forgiven you, and you need to forgive yourself, and just to know that He is not a respecter of person, that what He does for one, He'll do for the other one. And He did it for me, so I know that He'll do it for you as well. Just, keep pressing forward, keep doing what He has called you to do, and just keep talking to Him. Keep, that relationship between you and Him, going, because He already knows your heart. And a part of that personal relationship that He desires to have with you is that He wants you to talk to Him about it. And I'm learning that God is a way maker, and He is a miracle worker, and He is a promise keeper. He is the light in the darkness. That is who He is. He is the King of Kings. He is the Lord of Lords. He is the Alpha and the Omega. God went to the end of our life already. And this journey that we are on, we're just walking it out. God already know. He already sees everything, and we just have to trust Him in the process. And I'm grateful that He has forgiven me, for having abortion and having a miscarriage as well, because that was my fault. I was shamed about that, too. And like, I don't have to hold on to that guilt no more. I don't have to walk in the hall of shame no more because of what I had done. And just to know that God is faithful even when we're not, it's a powerful thing. And like I've said before, and I can't express it enough, talk to God. He already knows everything already. Share your story with the world, because your story is valuable and it needs to be heard, because we don't know who's out there that's going through what we have gone through, and who is afraid to talk to somebody. And I believe that once they hear my story, and once they hear your story, that will let them know that they are not alone, and that they too can feel free to talk about things, you know. So I don't want to hold you guys up any longer. I just wanted to get on here and share another one of my stories. Until the next time, God's willing, I will see you guys on the next video.